Today's video is the ultimate planting hack for planting. Oh, you know what? I think I already did a video that was called the ultimate planting hack, but it was with a very specific type of plant in the title, and this one is in response to a lot of questions I've been getting. How do you keep stem plants from popping up out of your substrate? Because it is nearly impossible. Also, if you have larger plants, what the heck are you supposed to do? Welcome to the Small Scape, and welcome back. If you saw last week's planting tip, I will, or if you haven't, I'll include it somewhere. And it actually wasn't last week. It's actually like just very few moments ago that I recorded that. Actually, my arm is still wet from last week's planting hack video. But at the time you see this video, we are already back from Aquashella. So hopefully I'm going to be having a brand new Aquashella 2024 Dallas shirt, because, you know, I have to have them all except for when they ran out, and then I didn't get one that year. But this planting hack is in response to so many questions I've been getting. And if you've ever tried to plant a stem plant, well, it's a stinker. It is a big stinker that just comes right out of the substrate. I use sand, but aqua soil would be even worse, of course, because it's just so light and fluffy and buoyant. But even gravel, you can have a really hard time. And then what do you do with larger plants? My planting hack that video that I did last year or whenever, it was for microsword. And this is a variation of that tip to accommodate the stinkers of stem plants and larger plants. So I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do in the same tank, and this is the same tank that I used last week because it's kind of my experimental tank. Not that there's any danger to the fish, you know, there's not like crazy experiments I'm running with chemicals or anything. No. It's just plants that they don't really care about. I see how they do, I try different things. The scape is not permanently affixed. Things move around, they float around, it's all totally fine. But I hope this planting hack helps you. All right, here we are in my 20-gallon long again, and for stem plants, what I like to do, especially the bacopa or water sprite, water wisteria, all those, I like to float them first so that they grow at least one root, like you can see there, and that will also help it to stay under the substrate. But this is the tip. Now, if you've seen the microsword hack, you know about this. It's a comb, okay? It's just your regular comb. I would suggest you get the real cheap ones at the dollar store. And what I do is I cut it up. I cut it up into smaller pieces. However, especially for the stem plants, you can't just use the regular little tines are just too tiny. So what I do is I break off one or two little tines, and it depends on how big you want it, how small the little area is that you're trying to plant in. Because sometimes you want to plant something in between, maybe a couple rocks or some driftwood, and you don't have a lot of space. All you need is a little piece of a comb. I like to use gardening shears to cut the comb, unless you have really heavy duty scissors, you can use those too. And all you have to do is cut the comb into little pieces. I frequently have many little comb pieces laying around just in case I have some little stubborn plants. But especially for the stem plants, you want a little wider little space to get it and hold it down into it. And I'm going to show you a couple other little tricks here too. All right, back to planting. What I also like to do is to take a small rock, especially for bacopa because it's such a stinker, and I will kind of place it right on top of where I know the comb is. So the comb is in the back of these little plants, so that'll help it stay down also. And here's the bonus tip: if you have larger plants, and even, you know, if you have a lot of plants like this Anubias, it's kind of like an Anubias field. What I like to do is use the different kind of hair combs, the ones that, you know, like hold your hair back. And this was also included in my original planting hack video, what, last year or the year before, but isn't it interesting? I wanted to show you this, how interesting it is that the Anubias, the roots grow right in between the little tines of the culm. But let me show you on a large plant. It's funny, this plant is basically the bane of our existence, and I have stopped putting it in and replanting it. So Mr. Primetime has been doing lately. So we're gonna actually, we're gonna pin it down. This one has actually been staying down very well. I don't know why, but this one has decided, no, it's never gonna stay down. Well, now it is. As you can see, there's a lot of different plants in here now too. If you are trying this with a crypt, be very careful, because where the stems of the plants and the roots meet, very, very breakable. And we're going to see if Mr. Primetime watches this video, because if he says, "How did you get that plant to stay down?" I'll know that he did not watch this video. Now I could play with the placement, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it and let it have some fun. So tell me if this helps you, if you try it out. I mean, who remembers back in the day, if your girl, if you had those hair combs? I know I did. They never really worked out great because I have really thick hair. They'd always come out, but I have a bunch of them, and that's really how I use them now in my tanks. A lot of hair care items really work well in aquariums. Who knew? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.